My name is John Mills. I'm a father, grandfather, husband from Bloomfield, Connecticut. In conjunction with my sister doing research into genealogy and African American history for a couple of decades. And while we have our own history with regards to slavery that we've traced back in our own family, today I'm requesting support with regards to an individual from Connecticut by the name of Prince Mortimer, who came to this country into the Connecticut colony. He was enslaved by an individual named Philip Mortimer. He became a part of Philip Mortimer's rope walk. Philip Mortimer made ropes for ships and he became very wealthy. And he would be enslaved there for some 50 plus years. He would be part of the Revolutionary War. He's said to have been servant to many officers. There's no primary documentation to show he really was. Those are his words. Eventually he'd come back from the revolution and he was not freed. His enslaver died in 1794 in his will. He freed Prince, but Philip Mortimer's son-in-law and daughter were not going to get some of the riches that they had expected. They were going to slaves, so they challenged the will. The will was overturned. Prince Mortimer was not freed. Now he was enslaved to the son-in-law. His name was George Starr. George Starr was a tailor. He made boots for the Revolutionary War. George Washington specifically would request boots of George Starr. He stays enslaved to him till 1811. Prince Mortimer would have been somewhere around 87 years old. One morning, George Starr accused Prince Mortimer of placing arsenic in his chocolate to kill him. They eventually sentenced Prince to life in prison. Supposed to be freed after the Revolutionary War and not. Supposed to be freed when his enslaver passed away in 1794 and he was not. And now potentially attempting to free himself at 87 years old. He's sent to the worst prison in America at the time, Old Newgate Prison in East Granby, Connecticut. It was an old copper mine, underground, dark, no light, dank. He stayed in that prison until 1827, when they shut down that prison because of its conditions and moved Prince Mortimer to Wethersfield, Connecticut, a new prison that was built there. He lived there until 1834, so for 7 years when he passed away. And in his autopsy, he's assumed to be somewhere between 110 and 120 years old. So he lived a long life. He endured even through the oppression and the enslavement. That is the great part of his story. There are very few primary documents relative to his life. The question I'm asking of Henry Louis Gates and his team, one, even though at the time it was a part of the oppression to not document these people, the organizations of today are requiring documentation in order to honor him for his military service, which I think is a little bit of an extended injustice. I'm looking for Henry Louis Gates to help me make that tie. Number two, it was always said that he did not have kids. I was able to find that he did have kids. He had a daughter and her name was Zilpa. She married an individual named Charles, who was the son of another enslaved person in the Mortimer household. They moved to New York, but that's when I lose them. I would really like to find if there are living descendants of Prince today. There's another ironic element to this story. If an individual passed in the Connecticut State Prison, it was up to the discretion of the warden to say, I'll give this body to the school for research. He could only do that if the family never came to retrieve the body. Prince Mortimer's body may not have been buried in the prison cemetery. He may have been sent to Yale. That's another line I'm chasing down to see, was Prince Mortimer's body sent to Yale? If there's anything you can do to help me, I would truly appreciate it, and thank you again for the consideration.